I am a vegetarian who is mostly vegan. I am against eating meat ethically. And because I'm a member of Greenpeace, which a lot of my subscribers actually know. A lot of you may or may not know that I'm a vegetarian, almost vegan. The only reason I'm not fully vegan is because one of the meat substitutes I eat has free-range egg whites in it. And I don't eat it every day. But that means I'm not a vegan. I do have an issue with the meat and dairy industries. I do not eat meat. I will probably never eat meat again. But that isn't really the point, because for me, I don't really do the vegetarian thing because of health reasons or biological reasons. I do it purely for ethical reasons. No other reason. That's it. Because of the diseases that run in my family, I eat a vegan diet. Like someone saying they want to become a vegan for health reasons is like saying I want to become a Christian because I can drink wine every Sunday. I had my phase when I was a vegan for a short period of time where I didn't pack some of that. But I'm no longer a vegan. And some of that should be for obvious reasons. I was married to a vegan. I'm no longer married to a vegan. And I know a lot was made about it when I had said before that my ex-wife had been a factor in me going vegan. And contrary to what a lot of people were saying, it had nothing to do with getting pussy. It had to do with the fact that when you live someone and they're an important part of your life, their morals and their happiness is going to affect you at least on some level. So at the end of the day, guys, the take-home message here and what is important to remember is that humans, our natural diet is to eat everything. And we are cooked food eaters, cooked meat eaters, and we are the single most successful species anywhere in the world of being able to find foods around us anywhere that we go, even thousands and thousands of miles from where we originated, and to thrive on it. And I would say making a statement like that really is not addressing the fact that humans as a species are kind of wannabe meat eaters, but we really are herbivores. Now, we've adapted to some extent to eat meat over eating cooked meat for the last couple million years, but we really are, biologically speaking, herbivores. But a lot of this stuff just gets kooky when people start following these really weird, rigid diets, or actually saying things like a raw vegan diet is the natural diet for a human. No, it's not. Have you never opened an anthropology book? The idea that humans are raw food eaters is just scientifically and historically not true. We're actually cooked food eaters. So another perfect example of the way this stuff goes. You can be an omnivore, you can be vegetarian, you can be a vegan, any of those things, and be completely healthy, live to be 100. You could compete at the elite levels in top sports. You could win gold medals in a wide variety of sports while eating any of those three dietary approaches. All three have equal health potential and performance potential for an athlete, in my opinion. People are promoting a diet that for the majority of people isn't sustainable. There are some people who've been vegan and stayed vegan for 50 years. They are the exception to the rule, not the norm. Most of you are going to find it to be unsustainable like I did. Me personally, like I've said in the other videos, I perform better as an athlete. I've lost a lot of body fat. I'm able to control cravings. I feel better and fuller and have more energy on a lot less calories now that I'm doing a high meat ketogenic style diet. I feel better. My blood work looks better. I'm happier as a person for it. Okay, I'm, as someone who's a vegan and who actually really does know nutrition, a lot of vegans don't know nutrition. Because a vegan diet, you could be on a vegan diet and have one completely different set of macronutrients and calorie intake and still be on a vegan diet and eat something that's the exact opposite. You could, at 80-10-10 as a vegan diet, you could do a ketogenic vegan diet, which is the opposite extreme. You could do a very ultra high protein vegan diet and you're still vegan, but it's still the composition of your diet, your total carbs, fat, proteins, micronutrients, fiber that are going to impact how you perform as an athlete. Not the fact that you've excluded certain foods from the diet. Not relevant. Most people don't realize the only people who might struggle to get enough protein for gains in are usually going to be maybe vegans. I'm reminding everyone, for people who seem to think I'm a vegan, guys, I was a vegan for a short period of time, and I told you guys months ago that I stopped the vegan thing and went into why. And it doesn't work for me. I don't feel that it works for me. I gain strength and muscle really, really well on vegan diets. I struggle with cutting on them. I just don't get satiety, and my blood sugar doesn't feel right. I have problems when I'm trying to cut on a vegan diet. When I go into a calorie deficit, I run into a lot of problems. It's not workable for me. I was hungry all the time as a vegan. No matter how much food I ate, even raw vegan food, I was hungry all the time. And I would gain weight because I would eat 5,000 or 6,000 calories a day and try to tell myself I'm only eating 4,000, and the scale weight would go up. I would add more cardio in. I was up to where I was lifting every day and doing 2 hours of cardio a day just to try to control the caloric intake from my hunger as a vegan. And I mean, that could even be raw fruit with some veggies thrown in. I would eat like 3 watermelons in a day and be hungry and still go to bed hungry. There's no reason for me to go vegan. I only see negatives and no positives. And in the long term, though, I would, like I said, I would love to go to eating wild game as my 10% of my animal products every day that I hunt myself, but that's going to be a longer term endeavor. And it's because there are 4 types of people who are drawn to veganism from what I can see. And my own experience observing them, interacting with them, things I've seen in vegan communities online, because I was one for almost 6 months or so. And I did go to vegan meetings and talk to a lot of different vegans and people inside that world. But then you have the true sociopath who's drawn to veganism, the exact opposite of group 1. The sociopath is drawn to this group as a way to mask the fact that they are a sociopath. And I've met several of these, and you can tell because of certain things they say. When they say things like, well, I don't really care about people. All humans can be exterminated for as far as I'm concerned. I'm concerned about the innocent animals. It's not even an issue for me of life itself. I don't consider life to be sacred at all. I don't put any value on life as far as the biological function of life. I put a value on sentience, and I put a value on innocent life. So what they do is they want to talk about the animals as if they're above people, and that is again so that they can find a social mask, a socially acceptable mask for their sociopathology, which means their inability to relate to and empathize with other humans. I finally made the push to say, look, I'm not going to flip-flop back and forth between being vegetarian anymore. And then I went pretty much mostly vegan shortly after. But the thing was, I was watching one of the things on factory farming, and I saw a case to where a steer had had his throat slit and his esophagus was hanging out and he was flopping as he died. And that scene for me is what pushed me over the edge. I know these animals. I've been around them. They know what death is because I've seen the way they react to it. They go to places to die if they live old enough to do it. They mourn for their dead. And that animal knew he was dying, and I could tell at that point. This was an innocent animal that had never harmed anyone. He was no threat to anyone. He knew he was being killed. He didn't want to die. And he was flopping in reaction to it. Now, had this been a murderer or a pedophile or something, I probably wouldn't care. But this was an innocent, sentient being who was dying because someone enjoyed the taste of his meat. Not for their health, not for nutritional need, not for something that they needed, but just for pleasure. And I have a problem with that. I have an ethical problem with that. And again, I saw a lot of this. So I just really don't care. Animals are innocent and helpless than humans. And so I care more about them than human beings. And they're just like, I don't care if humanity dies off. And I've met a lot of those inside some of the vegan groups. And so it does seem weird to me that someone can't understand that, when to me it makes perfect sense. And someone says, well, if you enjoy eating meat, then just eat meat. And I would say, well, if you enjoy raping women, just go rape a woman. I mean, it fucking feels good, right? We don't have respect for these animals at all. We put them through a life of hell. We've created a living hell on earth for them. And I think that the rape analogy I gave is a very accurate analogy. And for someone who says that belittles rape, I would say, well, no, I would say that rape is probably not as bad as what we do to animals. That is a sign of your true sociopath. They can't relate to other humans. They don't have real empathy for other humans. This is the most dangerous type of the vegan, because they'll also pretend to be one of the other types as well. And the problem you have is that you have a community here to where we know from the research out there and the data, people who are sociopaths tend to like to prey on group number 1 there, the people who are empathic. And we've essentially created a whole new system of slavery, torture, and a new Holocaust of billions of sentient beings who pose no threat to any of us, have done no harm to any of us, purely for our own pleasure. And the sad thing is, we can eat meat substitutes that taste pretty much the same. And that's what I do now because I enjoy the pleasure. I love the taste of beef. But it's not necessary for this to happen for that. which again, I find vegan diets do not fill me up. I cannot eat enough food to feel full. And I struggled to keep my body weight under control. I would gain weight at an enormous rate. I would gain body fat at an enormous rate. I found it horrifically bad for doing that because I would crave meat 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I would crave steak, and I would try everything to try to deal with those cravings. Every strategy for people say, well, why didn't you try this, try that? It's funny because people will say that, and I did try those things. They didn't work. I got tips from tons of vegan experts. I could absolutely not make the diet work. And the thing is, since I couldn't make it work, why would I go back and do it again? I don't have an ethical issue with eating meat. I freely admit, I love the taste of meat. I love it. But I have an ethical situation that does not allow me personally to eat a dead animal. And so for me, what I do is I eat meat substitutes, ones that happen to taste good that I like, and I eat those because they fill a role in my diet. And that role is not just one of getting some extra protein in, because they tend to be very high protein, although they're very high fiber protein sources, is that I have found ones that taste close enough to the real deal that I meet that need that I have to enjoy that taste and the texture of meat, and it feels like I'm eating meat. So I get to enjoy that thing that I enjoy from a flavor perspective, but I do so without the ethical ramifications that I personally can't live with. And so it does seem weird to me that someone can't understand that, when to me it makes perfect sense. Contrary to what a lot of vegans are saying, we do crave meat. I crave meat. I couldn't handle my meat cravings after months and months without it. I tried everything from eating peanut butter to get the salty taste of meat with fat at the same time, and then soaking a penny under my tongue to get the coppery taste of blood, because I happen to like raw or rare meat myself. I love like blue steaks. Trying to fulfill that craving, I would put a penny under my tongue trying to deal with it. I tried that for about a month, and it only helped for about a week. And if you're one of those really sensitive people, number one, and you're very empathic and compassionate, you need to be able to pick out group number 4 and avoid them at all costs. Not just avoid them on the internet, but definitely make sure that you don't form real life friendships and bonds and relationships with these people, because it could put you into direct harm. And I'm not militant about it. I don't do the whole militant thing of guilting other people, attacking other people for their choices, because quite frankly, it doesn't work. And while I understand, because I understand how passionate people are about this who get involved in it, and I am that passionate, that they want to initiate that change because they see it as effectively a Holocaust and slavery, which it is. But attacking other people about it, screaming at them about it, guilt tripping them about it, is only going to make the problem worse, because when you attack people for their personal choices, or you try to make them feel guilty, you push those people away. That is the absolute worst thing people could do. I think the best thing that people can do is non-judgmental awareness, lead by example when it comes to something like this. I think the militant approach does the exact opposite of the intended effect. You turn people off to the idea. All right, guys, so that's my take on it, and that's my advice. Take it or leave it. And also, if you don't eat bacon, you're a little fucking bitch. And yeah, I did a lot of primitive weapon hunting, and for me, I've gone and I've done horseback hunting up in Colorado and hunted elk on horseback. I used to bow hunt deer, and I used to do close-up hunting, where I would go out in the woods to hunt wild pigs in Texas with a ghillie suit on, skunk spray to mask my scent, and either a spear or a Bowie knife, and I would stalk them. I grew up the first 7 years of my life on a cattle ranch. My family maintained it, and I went back later even as a teen and did work there. And I have personally helped dehorn cows. I have helped castrate cows. I have helped with the slaughter of cows. This is something I have personal experience with. I used to go to the deer lodges every winter with my grandfather. I've hunted white-tailed deer. I've hunted mule deer. I've hunted elk up in Colorado on horseback. And I have even hunted wild boar on foot with a knife. I have killed 7 wild boars with a Bowie knife. Firearms, I started shooting at age 6. All through my teenage years, starting at age 12, I did shoot 1,000-yard rifle competition. And yes, that was even with an ear problem. I wore earmuffs. So shooting and hand loading and precision rifle shooting was something I did at a competitive level through my teens. And so it was just an intrinsic part of my lifestyle. I was a competitive shooter in my teens. You don't think that we used drugs? You've never heard of beta blockers? I grew up as a very avid hunter. I've done all the primitive weapon hunting. I've hunted wild boar with a knife. I've hunted them with spears. I've done a lot of deer hunting. I've done elk hunting. And some people do it for their ego or philosophical reasons, but you know what? I used to hunt dangerous game on foot for philosophical reasons, but most of you would say that's really fucking stupid, Jason. You're a fucking idiot. But yeah, I did that with some of my family and everything, hunting wild boar with knives on foot. And anyone who's familiar with the feral hogs in Texas understands that that is a dangerous animal. That animal can kill you. It can definitely put 50 or 60 stitches in you. With those tusks, some of them get up over 200 pounds. We hunt them on foot with a knife, and they are aggressive. Like, I'd love to get up and go hunt mountain lions again, up in Colorado or something later on, to see if I could get a draw on one of the licenses. I'd love to do that. I'd do that in a heartbeat. Absolutely. So, yes, if we cloned these dinosaurs, I would say to all these civilized, leftist, social justice warriors, yes, I would go and hunt one. And do you know why? Because that is a big, dangerous, rare animal. It's not going to be a limited resource if we started making them anyways. And to go out there and prove that I am fit to lead. And I would definitely go hunt a velociraptor or a T-Rex. Might need a really big gun for that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. On foot. So, but I came to terms with the fact that I am a hunter, that I'm a killer, and I'm okay with that. People have this mentality and they just hate. And the thing that I learned really early on is that you can utilize that mentality, that hatred, just the haterdom that exists there to your financial benefit. And me even revealing that isn't going to hurt me in any way. Lately, the channel has been getting hit by trolls and spammers from a couple different sources at this point, not only the other forum of other people who are harassing me and making hundreds of accounts, but our favorite mentally handicapped person has also called his Legion of Piss Troopers on my channel again, and so I'm banning upwards of 200 people a day right now. So what I've marketed myself on is the haters. That crab in the bucket mentality, the people that when they see you getting outreach, they get angry because they can't do it and maybe they have jobs that they hate, and so then they want to shit talk you and say terrible things about you all the time. And here's the thing, I love those people. I love them. They're making me money. I wouldn't be making the type of money that I'm making doing what I do if it wasn't for all those hundreds and thousands of haters who talk about me negatively everywhere, who even go and they post on my video comments. They're making me money by posting in the comments and the ads rolling. And when they post, sometimes people see it on their Google Plus and it spreads. And on forums, their threads started, and all over Facebook, people talk smack about me. From now on, as you notice, I'm banning all trolls. No exceptions. You come in my channel, you say something stupid that makes you sound like a fucking idiot, you're banned. You throw a personal insult at me, you're banned. You come in and you sound like Jason Genova saying it shit, it piss, Order 66, Dorian Yates barn door back, you're fucking banned. The private business and private property owners have the right to tell people they can't say certain things on their property, and they can ask them to leave or command them to leave immediately if they say something they don't like. Well, the same applies to the internet businesses. If you put stuff on people's various business or private walls or comment sections or anything else, they have an absolute right to remove you. Those people just hating on me and spreading my name, even if everyone who hears this message stops. So it doesn't even matter at that point. It becomes just a ball that just keeps rolling downhill. And so the whole idea, though, is just outreach is what matters. Fair use can't be like harassment or malicious intent. If you make 5 or 6 videos where you have taken other people's copyrighted material and you're trying to use it as fair use, YouTube is absolutely not going to accept that. If you've done that to someone, you might want to be nice in what you say about them, because that person can take your channel away at any time. Pretty much if you've done something like that, you probably want to basically suck that person's dick in terms of what you're saying about them, because your channel now exists at their leisure. That person can basically at that point, with 15 minutes of typing and hitting the right forms, have your channel shut down permanently. Even if you feel it's fair use, YouTube's only going to let you file 1 or 2, and at the very most, 3 fair use policy claims against someone. They see anything beyond that. If you've taken more than about that much, and sometimes they won't even give you that much, if you've taken that much of someone else's video, they're going to see it as harassment, and rightly so. Now, you could take a business that puts up such signs, and you have the right to boycott that business. You have a right to tell other people to boycott that business because you don't like them imposing their beliefs on you about firearms. And in fact, I'm going to say that if he can't handle trolls, man, he needs to walk away from YouTube. I don't let the trolls deter me, and I get trolled harder than he does. And I just don't give a fuck. Now, another place where free speech doesn't apply is on private property. Case in point, people bring up our YouTube channels. You know what? That's a business. The YouTube wall is an extension of my business. I therefore have the right to remove any person who is saying something offensive. If I don't like it or it's disruptive to the business, I have a right to ask them to leave. If they don't leave, I call the police, and the police can show up and arrest them. In this case, I have the police button. But at any private business, if my channel were a shop front, or I open a shop front associated with the business, and a person comes in saying something I find offensive, your free speech doesn't apply on private property. That person can immediately demand that you leave, and if you don't leave, you're now trespassing. Well, if you happen to be in Texas and it's private property and you're trespassing and you don't leave immediately, you can shoot that person. I was a paid fiction writer on the internet. The problem is that this book company requires everyone who works with them to sign NDAs. I can't discuss the book company. I can't discuss the material. I can't discuss any of the names involved publicly, or I violate that NDA and they could sue me. As a result of that, a lot of people are like, oh, they're trying to spam the stuff on my channel. I had been advised by a lawyer that if any references to this thing come out, that I'm covered as long as I delete it. But a lawyer had advised me a while back that they wouldn't be able to take me to court as long as I make a reasonable effort to remove any references to it on any pages I run, because technically NDAs, slander violations, things like that, if they're on a media that you host or you own, and in this case my Facebook page and my YouTube channels would constitute media that I run or own. So as long as I make a reasonable effort to remove any such things, I'm covered. I've actually covered myself. It's not my fault that the book company wasn't able to secure their stuff enough for people to not find out who I was over time. I don't know how it got leaked or how any of that happened, but I'm just having to clean up the mess a little bit. It means I'm blocking people. So guys, if I block or ban you for that, it's not because I'm annoyed by you. It's nothing personal against you. Please don't take it the wrong way. I'm covering my butt in court because I kind of have to. I've been advised by a lawyer to delete and ban anyone who does that. I'm not going to court so that you guys can have some fun. But again, because of the nature of it, I can't ever list the book company. I can't list any of the topics. I can't list any of the people involved because it's an NDA violation. And any of you who mention any of that stuff on my media, I have to delete it. I've been advised by a lawyer to do so. And again, it's not personal. I'm not upset with you. It really is amusing, but I still have to ban you for it. So please don't take offense if I do that. It's just something I have to do for legal purposes. Because when people say, hey, Jason, the videos are going to shit, I don't like the comments you're covering, you're kind of to blame. Because if you want to see certain topics brought up or me to do certain types of content, you need to talk about that content in the comments. That's what I'm looking for. And I'm going through trying to filter out all the nonsense and the bullshit. So if you're not posting about the things that you want videos on, you're the only one to blame if I'm not actually posting videos about what you want to hear. Discuss the topics you want me to do videos on. I'm more than happy to do it that way. I've always done it that way. And please don't talk about all the trolling and the other negative stuff if you don't want to get banned on the channel, because I'm going through just picking that out with keywords without even reading the post, because there's so many of them right now. I banned probably 300 people in the last 2 days. Still making videos every single day, and we're laughing at all these trolls and shit. We don't get butthurt about it. We don't give a fuck. Fuck them. At least they're watching us. At least we're making money off them watching and commenting. Fuck them. And anyone who utters any of the key phrases that the trolls are using, we just ban without having to read all the comments. So I'm not even seeing what they're saying. And 95% of those are going to be legitimate trolls. And a few people are going to get caught in there. And what I would remind you guys, if you guys know there's a bunch of trolls spamming the page and blocking up the content and the questions and the dialogue that everyone is having, where we can get real discussions going on real topics, if you're discussing these things that they're discussing, you're picking up their key phrases, you're getting caught in there, you're getting banned off the channel. But you need to understand that's not personal. You kind of did that to yourself, because you have to realize when I get that many people that I need to ban every day for the exact same comments. So if you're repeating their key phrases or asking questions specifically about what they're talking about, you're just getting caught in the algorithm and you're getting banned without me seeing your comments. And you should know that's going to happen. People talk smack about me, but the thing is, when every time they write, oh, this mouth-breathing, fat, autistic virgin, I can't believe he has a following, fuck him and his sorry ass. Every time they do that, someone sees my name who's never heard of me. They go look, they come to my channel or my websites to make fun of me, and then a bunch of them stay and see the content. They kind of stick around, they see some of the other content, and I hear this all the time from people, hey, I really thought that was true. Then I started watching what you have, and I realized you actually have some good, useful content. I started using it, and it helped me. If you were to come on a YouTube channel and call someone a fat fucking faggot pedophile, if they're not actually medically fat, that's slander if it's intended to be hurtful. If they can prove they're not actually fat, that's actually slander. That's not protected speech in any court. Because you use the word fucking, it's now obscenity. That's not protected speech either, because you called them a faggot. If they're not homosexual, that's slander, and it's going to fall under obscenity. And if they're not actually a pedophile and there's no evidence of it, that's also slander again. So none of that, not a single word in that phrase is protected speech. And if you did it on private property, such as a YouTube channel or a Facebook page, they're private business. It doesn't matter what you say, it's still not free speech. So telling lies about other people publicly, and that could include in comment section of a video, it could include any publication, it could include any situation in which the rumor is then going to be spread around, that is actually slander. And in many cases, that is not protected speech, and you might actually be required to pay them damages. Those people are making you money. Love your haters. Your haters are amazing. Don't ever get mad at them. They are, for internet business and anything to where you need outreach on the internet, those people are your lifeblood. Those haters will make you rich. Love them. But if someone jumps up and makes an offer and says I'm a coward or a pussy if I don't accept their offer, don't link it to me. If someone says something negative about me or my girlfriend, or tells people that it's okay for their fans to slap my girlfriend's ass and encourages them to come do it at my gym, or any such nonsense, if you link any of that, I'm going to ban you. The other thing, I made a public announcement the other day because this person causes more drama than anyone else in the community. Their fans are the worst drama causers and trolls out there, and that's Jason Genova. I've kind of removed any videos where I've stood up for him. Any videos where I've interacted with him, I'm never going to mention him again. As far as I'm concerned, he doesn't exist. So anyone who says his name or any of the other names for him, or calls themselves a piss trooper or an Order 66, I'm just going to hit the ban button. I don't care who you are at this point. Any mention of this individual tends to cause drama and trolls to appear. It's like a magnet for them. So if I want to keep the trolling and the drama down, anyone who discusses him or even probably watches his channel probably needs to go. So in order to keep the drama low on the channel, I'm going to have to remove the people who ag on the drama. That's the best way for me to do it. Do things to get attention that's going to make you hated. The more that people hate you, the more it increases your outreach and the more money that you're going to make in the long term doing this. And so what I recommend to all of you trying to get into this sort of market, if you want to make an actual living at it, it is important that you capitalize on that need to hate within our community. I don't have time to read all those comments, guys. I'm just picking out key phrases and ban down the row. Because that's the only efficient way to deal with that. It's just a very efficient way to deal with the problem without having to deal with the bullshit and drama around it. Just make it all disappear. Not losing sight of who you are as a people, or as a species, or what it is to be a man. People don't understand things like that anymore, and then they wonder why we have a generation of little whiny sissies who need safe spaces and get their feelings hurt instead of being men. They've lost touch of it because they've lost touch of their roots. We don't teach men to be men anymore.